You're listening to the Angela Henderson Online Business Show, episode 375. Hey there, you amazing human, and welcome to the Angela Henderson Online Business Show, the podcast that is designed for female entrepreneurs who want to make more money in a way that is in alignment for them. If you're looking for practical advice, proven strategies, and expert insights to help you navigate the challenges of growing your business, then you've come to the right place. Welcome, my friend. I am your host, Angela Henderson, a proud Canadian living in beautiful Australia, and I'm a business coach, consultant, and strategist who has helped thousands of women around the world build successful businesses. Through solo episodes and interviews with successful business owners, industry experts, and thought leaders, you'll get insider insights into what it takes to succeed in today's digital age. Whether you're struggling to scale your business, looking for ways to boost your productivity, or seeking ways to overcome the challenges of being an entrepreneur, this show has everything you need to succeed and more. So subscribe, pop your headphones on, and get ready to creating the business and life you deserve today by allowing the Angela Henderson Online Business Show help you create a winning strategy, develop the right mindset, and build lasting wealth. Hey, you amazing human, and welcome back to another podcast episode. You are in for a treat today, but I hope this week has been treating you well, that the sun has been out, that the birds are chirping, and that life is just well, my friend. Now, today's episode is all about one of the most crucial elements of your marketing strategy, aka, the sales page. Now, who doesn't want to triple their sales with their sales page? I mean, me personally, I am raising my hand. You won't be able to see it because this is an obviously podcast episode, but it is a big fuck yes for me. And often people think that creating a sales page is easy. And I'm here to tell you, well, yes and no. It can be easy if you know exactly what needs to be on the sales page, but getting to that point requires some expertise and help. And that's why I've brought on a very special guest and good friend of mine, Sage, all the way from the USA. Sage has worked with some of the top entrepreneurs around the world, helping them craft highly conversional sales pages. And she's here to share her wealth of knowledge with us today. And in this particular episode, we'll explore the different buyer types that you need to understand to create compelling copy. Sage also is going to share with us a proven framework for crafting winning sales pages. She's also going to dive deep on how AI is changing the game in writing sales pages, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So if you're ready to learn the secrets of tripling your sales with the killer sales page, get your pens and paper ready because this is going to be a hot episode. Hey, welcome to the show, Sage.
Thank you for having me, Angela. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, it is always fun getting to hang out with you. I know we've already been chatting, doing for 15 minutes before I was fun. Like, yeah, we probably need to start pressing record here because you and I could chat away. So it is a delight to have you on board. You are just a ray of sunshine, tuning in all the way from LA. And I just love your vibe. I love your knowledge. I love your skill set. But overall, you're just also a good human. So welcome to the show. Glad to hear you, to have you here today.
Come over anytime if you're going to be so sweet to me. Thank you.
Yes, I'm coming, sister. Now, I always like to ask a fun question so my guests get to know you, do you know what I mean? Or so that my audience gets to know the guest a little bit better. So my fun question to you is, over in the USA, you are heading into spring right now, and I know you have the most beautiful garden ever. So what is your favorite flower from your garden that you absolutely adore?
Oh, that's a fun question. I really love the California poppies. They're like this bright orange color, and they open during the day and close at night. So they're just very sweet flowers to enjoy this time of year.
Oh my goodness, I love it. And I know you had some beautiful flowers on your, you posted this photo the other day, and they just look like that true wild bloom flower. It was beautiful. Now, not all the listeners out there today might know who you are. So in a simple nutshell, tell us a little bit about what you get up to for business.
Yeah, so I'm 12 years deep into my business. I am a copywriter to the stars and a launch strategist. I'm grateful to be doing those things. And, of course, over the years, my business has evolved from working with private clients to now having a copy template membership and coaching people on their launch strategy. And so that's where I've landed at this point with the business. And it's so fun because I get to work with both emerging business owners because of my copy template membership, but we have a lot of established people in there too. And it's because I've been running this business for so long, we have this wide range of an audience, and I love seeing all of them at their different stages in business.
And you mentioned the word copywriting, right? And that is a part of what we are talking about today, right? How to triple your sales, right, from your sales page. And so people get confused in the world, and there's lots of jargon around things. But today we're talking about copywriting. But to make sure that we're all on the same page, can you just explain copywriting to make sure everyone gets it, but also the different types of copywriting there are?
Yeah, 100%. So copywriting is specific to the marketing world. So if you live on the same marketing planet as me, it's the words on your website to help you sell more of your service or product. That's what we boil it down to.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with like the publishing or book world. That's a totally, or even the legal world. There's all different kinds of copywriting, but we are specifically talking about marketing, building connections with your audience, and then selling to that audience.
Mm-hmm. And what are the different types of copywriting? Because people will come to me and be like, my copywriter that I use for my website copy is also going to do my insert sales page copy, what we're talking about today. And I'll say, does that copywriter understand, and we're going to talk about your framework in a little while, the difference between homepage copywriting and maybe sales page copy? And they're like, is there a difference? So what are your thoughts are around the different types? Or someone will say, oh yeah, I'm working with a copywriter. She's also going to do my SEO. And I'm like, okay. And trust me, there are some copywriters who are so amazing with both of them. But I said, in my experience, most copywriters are really good at the words, but they don't actually infuse the SEO. Do you know if they're SEO trained copywriters? And they're like, oh no, is that a question I should ask? I'm like, absolutely. So I just like to kind of let people know, because I do feel sometimes people get duped that all copywriters are the same, when in my opinion, they're not. But I'm curious to hear about your opinion.
Yeah, so not all copywriters are created equally, and there's definitely a large range of skill set that copywriters bring to their work. I have found that it's really good to find someone who specifically specializes in your industry when you're looking to hire a copywriter. Mm-hmm. And also that they specifically specialize in the thing that you need, the outcome that you want to get from the copy. And maybe that's the part that you could start by asking yourself is like, okay, I want to hire a copywriter. What is the result that I want from the work with them? So if you, for example, hire a brand copywriter, they're going to help you build the foundation for your brand personality, because most people are a personal brand, right? When they're putting out their website or working on creating a podcast for the first time or something like that. So brand personality copywriter can help you establish like, what is your brand voice when it comes to writing online? And they're really good at like web copy and homepages and stuff like that. So that's kind of one camp that a lot of copywriters have strength in, is like brand personality, writing like punchy copy that's fun and filled with personality to make it feel like you are unique in your market and that you have a specific voice to put out there. Mm-hmm. So that's one type of copywriter. Another is a conversion copywriter. That's more of the area where I fall under. I started, though, as more of like a brand copywriter doing website copy for clients. And then I pivoted to launch copy and conversion copy because I really love working on campaigns where usually we're either like around 6 weeks ahead of a new product coming out for a company. They want to add a new revenue stream. Let's say for the first time, they want to offer a mastermind, or they want to offer some other group program, or they're opening a membership for the first time. There's typically a campaign that needs to happen to close sales. And so a conversion copywriter, the difference between a conversion and brand copywriter is they will actually, at least for me, I actually look at the data from their business. Like, what are your best email open rates? What are your best click-through rates? And how can we apply that to this next campaign to help you sell more of that service or product in a very short, focused amount of time, right? So I might be helping them develop a conversion event like a webinar or a masterclass or a challenge, and all the emails that will drive their audience to that event. And then from that event, send them to a sales page. And from that sales page, send them follow-up emails to pull in any more sales that you can. Mm-hmm. But all of that is very data-driven and and also customer voice data-driven. So talking to the audience, doing a lot of market research. So it's a very specific skill for campaigns and doing conversion copy versus a brand copywriter. And then you had mentioned SEO. That's another specific skill that if you are someone who wants to drive a lot of traffic to your main website, having an SEO copywriter to work through those different pages with you and make sure that you're driving traffic to your main website or a blog, if you have a blog, something like that, then you want to know that they have a proven track record specific to that. So all of those things are the conversation you get to have with your
But that's why I
potential
just think it's
copywriter.
important, because I just think people pull it in, like, say, same thing, business coach. Well, business coaches do different things, business consultant, like we all do different things. So it's just really important that when you're looking at hiring someone, make sure that you're asking some of these questions. And obviously today we're specifically speaking about, tripling your sales page. So AKA, you're looking probably more for that conversional copywriter to be able to help with this. Collectively. Yeah. But now, speaking of a sales page, there's, again, people, they think they can Google it, but there's some steps that we've got to consider. So before people go and create their sales page, in my opinion, you kind of got to understand the different buyer types that are out there. And so can you share with me the 4 buyer types that we need to be made aware of in order to create a converting copy for our sales page?
Yes, I love this conversation because people don't realize that people make buying decisions differently than them. Often, the biggest mistake I see is they just assume, okay, I'm going to write a sales page. And let's say that you are a faster decision maker and you're like, I'd never read a long form sales page, so I'm just going to write a short sales page because that's what I would prefer to read. Mm-hmm. But what you don't realize and what you're forgetting is that there are 3 other buyer types who may not decide like you. So you need to understand, and I'll get into our 4 buyer types, but I kind of hinted at one already, which is the fast decision maker. I like to teach this through the lens of the Simpsons TV show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with Bart. He is a fast decision maker, and he is the type who, it's true, when he lands on a sales page, he's just looking for the buy button. So he already on a gut level knows that he wants to buy the thing that you have to offer. And you just need to give them that button right away. Don't bury it further down in the page. There's definitely some outdated marketing that is taught where they will say, like, no, first you have to follow this framework of getting them to understand the pain that they're in. And then you have to pivot them to the solution. And then you can put the offer with the button. But we don't live in those times anymore where people have that much patience. If you think about it, like, content has gotten shorter everywhere, like TikTok and Instagram, like short form video. And so the idea is, like, for those BARTs, those fast decision makers, just have the button straight away at the top of your sales page so that they can click. And that's a conversion choice so that you're not making them dig for the action that they want to take.
Mm-hmm. Love it. So for fast decision maker.
Yes, BART is a fast decision maker. Are you ready for the next one? And I'm curious, Angela, if you at all identify as a fast decision maker when you make a buying decision.
Let me hear the others, because the way I look at it is I look at, like, the 4 conscious, like the 4, we don't call them buyers. We call them, like, I look at the 4 levels of consciousness. And so, yeah, and I'll hear yours and I can show you mine, because I reckon they're going to be similar. We might just name them differently. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yes, for sure. Okay. So that was Bart, fast decision maker. The next one is the Marges of the world. They are the deep connection decision makers. Mm-hmm. And they are the ones who feel connected to you they like strong brand visual images, right? So when someone's like, do I really need beautifully branded photography? I'm like, yes, for the Marges of the world, they feel very connected through visuals. Also, they feel very connected to you through your story. They are very, like, warm. They like to feel hugged by your copy, and they are huggers in real life as well.
Yeah.
And they are the type who are like, I want to connect more deeply to your story. Now, one thing that's interesting about the Marges of the world is when you make an offer, if you say to them, you can buy a ticket. Like, I did a live event. It was a 100-person event in Niagara Falls before the pandemic. And we said to them, you can come and then you can buy a ticket for your friend at a discounted price.
Yeah.
So the Marges of the world are all about that. When they buy, they don't just want to buy for themselves. They want all their friends to come experience it with them. So it's kind of nice because you can lean back and let them include people with them and do the selling for you.
Yeah.
So those are the Marges. So those are the deep connection.
Yep.
Are you ready for the next one?
I'm ready. Yep.
I love it. All right. So we got the homers. The homers are the fun, loving decision makers. They are the ones who want to know that you are a good time. So a good example, and I'll tell you about the copy in a second, but I have this image that I use a lot in my slides and on my website where I'm balancing a pin on my upper lip. And I will literally have people get on Zoom and do that to me. And I'm like, what do they do? Oh, right, my photo. They're reenacting my photo. But those are the fun-loving decision makers, the type who are like, she looks like a good time. I definitely want to work with her. But in terms of the copy, and I've had a friend who was like holding my phone and she was going through my sales page and I knew she was a homer in terms of decision making.
Yep.
Whenever there was like a fun or funny line, like a music lyric or a pun or a gif or things like that, she would kind of laugh, but it would keep her engaged and keep her scrolling because she was looking for the next fun and funny thing on the page.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So they're kind of like these little Easter eggs that they really enjoy. So those are the homers of the world and how you can appeal to them. Interestingly about them, they also are the type who have told me they like to be wooed over time. So when you're sending people to your sales page through a series of emails, they are the type who will they're usually late to the party and wait till the last minute to buy.
Mm.
So people ask me, like, do I really need to send like 20 emails in this campaign? I'm like, yes, for these fun-loving homers of the world. Like they want to keep hearing from you. They need lots of reminders.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the homers. We'll get to the fourth and final, and then I'm curious to see who you most identify with.
Right.
So the fourth and final is the Lisa. They are the detail-oriented decision makers.
Yeah.
So they are the type who people ask me, like, do I really need all this information on a sales page? Do I need a long form sales page? And the answer is yes. For the Lisas of the world, they are the ones who cannot, like, when they start something, they have to finish it, right? So they actually have to read the whole page. They cannot help themselves. The thing that they're thinking in their head the whole time when they're making a buying decision, they're thinking, is this for me? Is this for me? Is this for me? And so what I've learned about the Lisas is like, they'll read your whole page and then they'll still email you and ask you more questions. Even if you answered it on the sales page, they just want to feel like a confirmation and hear from you that it is for them. So I used to think, like, I answered all this. Why are you asking me these questions? But now I realize that that's how they start a sales conversation, is by asking questions. And so I'm like, oh, bring the questions. I'm here for it because you're about to buy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So those are our four. Who do you feel like you identify with, Angela?
Listen, I'd probably say if I was cold to a sales page, I'd probably be the Lisa, the more detailed. And I guess I probably lean more towards that because in the last kind of 18 to 24 months, there was a lot of stuff from the intuitive space. And I'm all about intuitiveness. I'm all about spirituality, but they would do things that I think was just as bad as bro marketing, where it was like, I've got a mystery deal and it's $10,000. Just press the button. And I'm like,
so odd.
But I'm like, what the fuck? Some of these people were making $4 to $9 million a year, okay, off these.
Yeah.
Part of their revenue stream was these mystery deals. But I'm like, I live in Australia. Where are the details? Like, is it a 2 a.m. call? Is it a 4 a.m. call? What day of the week is it? Because I've got my own masterminds that I run. Like, what do I get for that? Like, do I get any one-on-one time? And they're like, just press the button, lean in, trust. And I'm like, fuck no. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard no, you know? So I'd probably say if I was cold to an audience, I'd probably be the Lisa. If I was warm to an audience, I would just probably be like, I'm in, you know, like, take my money, I'm good. Yeah. And they're some of them are relatable. So I talk often with my people around like the 4 levels of consciousness. And that's something I learned from Scott Alford and Frederick Dodson. And they talk about like the reactive buyer. So they need like they're reactive. So they need to see what the bonuses are, buy now. They also like to have countdown timers on the sales page, like it's like this, like, shit, I got to do it now. Do you know what I mean? But they're reactive. Then there's the willful buyer who likes to see the testimonials, likes a longer page, do you know what I mean? Copy. They need to feel the story. Also, they need to be brought along. And then there's the intellectual buyers who needs all of that, plus case studies, plus videos, and also the opportunity to do that discovery call type scenario. And then there's the intuitive buyer where they're just like, it feels good, take my money, right? But what we've found is that the reactive intuitive buyers, they're also more likely to ask for refunds. Why? Because the reactive buyer bought off of reacting, right? And was like, actually, I didn't need this purchase. It was my ADHD moment. Or the intuitive is like, this feels good. And then they're like, oh, I actually have to do work. I got to take action. They're like, I want a refund. It's not for me, right? So those are kind of how I've always looked at it. But what I've taken away here, and I've already written a little note for my team, is like, I like that one where you talked about Homer. And sometimes I think that, if I think back on my copy, sometimes I think it's just going to like, I could infuse more fun. So I do like the GIF scenario, like that type of people needing to, do you know what I mean? Know that there's a little bit of play involved. So I think it's just a beautiful way to be able to look at like the fast decision buyer, you know what I mean? Who is Marge, who needs a deeper kind of story, Homer, who needs a more fun way, and then Lisa, who's like, I need the details. And that's where, again, I would agree with you, is people normally do one of those things, but don't take into consideration the other buyers. And that's why people, in my experience, struggle with having a good launch, because they're only taking into one consideration.
Attention, women in business, get ready to ignite your success and elevate your game. Join me for an exclusive 3-day Women in Business conference from October 31st to November 2nd at the breathtaking Gold Coast, Australia. Designed exclusively for online business owners, service-based business owners, coaches, consultants, and course creators. What to expect at this amazing 3-day Women in Business conference? Expect an immersive experience filled with fun, empowering keynote speakers, interactive workshops, networking opportunities with other successful business owners, gain valuable insights, forge meaningful connections, and leave inspired to take your business to new heights. 12 speakers have already been announced, with 5 more speakers being announced shortly. We have Steph Taylor joining us, Anita Seek joining us, Lisa Cordiff joining us, and not to mention Maddie from Sound Healing Australia, who will be there for the most magical sound healing experience ever. You do not want to miss the event of the year for women in business. To secure your ticket, head to angelahenderson.com.au today.
Yeah, I mean, there's the one consideration, there's the not putting it out there enough and kind of wanting to hide under your desk rather than making the offer. You put it out there once and you're like, okay, I'm going under my desk. Somebody buy. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yep.
It's a lot. It's a lot to put yourself out there. But when you start to understand these different buyer types, then you're more willing to go through all of the motions to make it a successful launch.
100%. And I do agree, like, we released our tickets to our 3-day Women in Business conference happening in October. And I had we did a 60% off, do you mean, for the first 48 hours. And there was 4 people the next morning were like, oh my God, I went to do it. It's already closed. Can I please have they're in panic stations. Do you know what I mean? But they were those ones that are they want to do it, but they were very last minute. And then they're and it was school holidays. And so, it is very interesting. But again, I was like, oh my goodness, I've put this out too much already. They've already got an email, do you know what I mean? And a reminder, and I've put on socials. People are and I'm like, no, you got to keep doing it, because there's, like you said, there's so many different ways, and people are distracted. It's a noisy world. If they went to get their credit card and I don't know, their kid fell down, then there's so much forgetfulness too, because of our attention span. So it's you've got to keep reminding people. Now, obviously we've talked about the 4 buyer types, and I know that you've worked specifically with a shit ton of people around the world. And it comes down to, again, around your simple framework that you have that helps people get the results that you do. Can you share with us the framework that people need to consider when they start to build their sales page?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few things when you are at the top of the page. So we talked about the BARTs, those fast decision makers, and having the button up there. There's some things that you can do to support sales further, though, for the BARTs. One of them is to have a testimonial near that first button. It's something that almost everybody misses on in terms of their page. They don't think to have testimonials up that high. But for those BARTs, they are the type who I've talked to them about this. They're like, I would buy it if I ideally recognize the name of the testimonial of the person, right? So let's say you wanted to sell to Oprah and her best friend is Gail, and you had a Gail testimonial next to the button, she'd be that much more likely to buy.
Totally.
So they want to be able to identify with that first testimonial. It's really important. Or I've talked to other BARTs of the world who are like, if it's my competition, if I know them and I compete with them, I'm more likely to buy. So you can be strategic about what testimonial you choose at the top. And it's okay if you don't have like a household name that everybody knows, but even just having them fit like the ideal client that you want to draw in more of is really powerful so that people can make that decision even faster.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah. And then, so that's the top of it. I'm actually going to tell you all 4 characters right at the top of the page before they scroll. These are the things you can be doing because I so often see people miss on that. So I mentioned that button is at the top. Another thing that I do for that button is I will anchor link it to the pricing section of the page. That first button at the top goes, if you click it, instead of going straight to cart, it takes you straight down to the pricing section.
Yeah.
So you can quickly compare, like if there's 2 levels that they can potentially buy at. For example, my Copy Sales Booster membership, we have a quarterly option and we have an annual option at the time I'm recording this. Sometimes that changes.
Yep.
And so that quarterly and annual, they can see the pricing, they can see how much they're going to pay, they can see how much they're going to save based on the option they're going to make. And then they can click that in the pricing section, a button that takes them to the checkout. But I do want for those BARTs to be able to skip the entire page basically and go straight to the pricing because that's what the question they have. How much is it again? I just want to buy this thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's for the BARTs. For the Marges, right at the top of the page, I had mentioned having like a really nice branded photo, really draws in their eye. One thing about the photos that most people don't know, in fact, Angela, you and I are talking on Zoom right now. You can see in my picture, like my stock photo that I have of me, you can see my hands in the photo and it's a headshot of me.
Yep.
So hands build trust. So a lot of people take headshots and they're kind of very corporate and you can't see their hands.
Yeah.
They actually aren't sure if they can trust you when they can't see it. So a lot of times that first photo at the top of a sales page, sometimes I'll be doing something fun and funny. It's kind of for the homers as well as the Marges, where it's like, at the time I had a business partner, I was like, hey, put bunny ears behind my head.
Yeah.
So they can see her hands, they can see my hands. And then it was like, it also created that trust with people.
Totally makes sense though.
Yeah. And like we were in front of a beautiful colored wall and like it just was very eye grabbing. And you had mentioned like people who are in the more intuitive and spiritual space, like just having really beautiful like lighting and, maybe hands on your heart or hands open. There's a lot of different things you can do with that, but just remember to have your hands showing.
Yeah.
And so those are for the Marges, like those deep connection decision makers. For the homers, before they scroll, something fun and funny in there. There was one photo I had where I was with my business partner at the time and I was like, you do a handstand and I'll hold on to your leg.
Yep.
And like I lifted my leg in the air and so you could immediately see that we were fun and funny. Like I meant, or even the name of the program, if you want to go that far with it, right? Like you can have a good time with the name of the program. And then the other thing for the Lisas, those detail-oriented decision makers, before they scroll at the very top of your page, I had mentioned they're thinking in their head, is this for me? Is this for me? I see a few things missed for the Lisas at the top of a sales page. The name of the program is usually there, so that's good.
Yep.
But how long is the program or what is the container of the program? Most people will be like, name of program, and then they don't put that it's a 6-week course or a 6-week group program. Like there's no information about what the container actually is. Or is this a quarterly membership? Is it an annual membership? Is it both? Like all those things. And then saying who specifically for Lisa the program is for. So I had mentioned that I work with emerging and established entrepreneurs. So I think at the top of like my membership page, it says Copy Sales Booster for emerging and established business owners. There's and I work with service providers, course creators, and e-com folks. So all of that is like before you scroll, you can clearly see what it is and who it's for. And the last thing I'll say, and this kind of works for most buyers in general, is like near that button, I had mentioned having a testimonial, but also having a sense of urgency for them to want to buy. And it doesn't have to be a fake sense of urgency. Like I like that you mentioned countdown timers. They are important. Some people are very visual. Like the Marges really appreciate when you have how long this bonus is going to be available for. And then you actually take away the bonus and it's like a true sense of urgency. And some people are like, I don't like the feeling of like a bonus is there and then I just magically take it away. But you could come up with bonuses like the first 10 people who buy get this, right? Or buy by this date and you'll be eligible to get a copy audit from me, let's say. But I'm delivering that copy audit by a specific date, like they have to submit by a specific date. So those sense of urgency becomes natural and authentic rather than forced or fake.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Dude,
So that's the framework for the top of the page. Now y'all are ready to convert some more sales.
Dude, I absolutely love it. And like, again, it's like, we know that when they hit the page, their attention span is getting less and less and less, right? So if you can make that really, not that the rest of the page isn't juicy also, but if you can make that initial part really juicy and then hit those 4 buyers, you're well on your way to having better conversions than what you would have.
Totally. And then it just keeps going throughout the page. You have sections for different types of buyers.
Yeah, 100%. Now, do you want to talk about those? Are you cool not? I just want to make sure because it's like happy to open up the doors to chat about those, but I think that could be a whole nother podcast episode in itself.
Yeah, a whole nother episode in and of itself. We got people started though. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, perfect. Just want to make sure. Now, you mentioned short sales, long form sales copy. I do just want to clarify, like, what do you mean by that? Because some people could be like, does she mean this? Does she mean this? Tell us a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah, that's a really important conversation and one that people really don't understand. It's like one of the most misunderstood things. I had mentioned that like the Lisas, the detail-oriented folks, they like a longer form sales page, but that was just scratching the surface. So the thing to keep in mind about your sales page length is the quality of traffic that's coming to the page. So you had said earlier, Angela, and I love that. You're like, if I'm more cold, I need more details. And that is it. Like, if you are more cold, if you're bringing more cold traffic, let's say running ads to a page and people don't know who you are, you need a much longer sales page to justify them wanting to come into the program. Versus if you are only selling to a warm audience, then for me, if I'm selling to a warm audience, my email list is like my warmest audience.
Yeah.
I do well on other platforms, but that is the place where I get the most conversions historically for my business. So the first thing everyone needs to do is do a little research about how your traffic is coming in and the quality of that traffic. The second thing is like, if I'm going to sell to a warm audience and or hot audience, which is my email list, then I'm going to sometimes sell from a Google Doc and it's much shorter and I don't need a fancy sales page or a fancy funnel to sell something to this community because they know me. They have come to at least one conversion event. We can define it as that. Like they know me that well, that I don't need as many bells and whistles. Another thing to consider is maybe you don't want all 4 buyer types in your audience. And I'll give you a specific example of this. Let's say you are a C-suite executive trainer and everybody in that room is most likely a BART because those are the CEOs of the world. They're very fast decision makers. That's how they operate and that's how they've gotten to where they're at. If you are exclusively selling to BARTs, don't ever put a long form sales page in front of them. Instead, you're going to have a shorter page that's more direct. All the sections are going to be shorter. And the main call to action, depending on what you want it to be, is most likely like book a call with me or here's my number, text me right now. So you have to be strategic about your call to action and the length of your page based on quality of traffic and the type of audience that you want to attract. So get clear on those two things, and then you'll understand the strategy behind the length of your page.
Love it. And I also love you brought up the Google Doc, because Google Docs, just your simple Google Doc, can actually convert really, really well. And I think people underestimate it because they've been told you got to create this really, appeasing and appealing, do you know what I mean, page, and it's got to look beautiful and it's got to be like so cosmetic, right? But some people are just like, give me the goods, right? Like I just want to buy, so Google Docs can work remarkably so well, and I think we underestimate that. Oftentimes I'll say to people, do your Google Doc. If it's a brand new program that they haven't even built before, I'm like, do a really great Google Doc, market it just like you would a launch, and then we build everything else. Because if we can't get people off of a Google Doc, we're more likely probably also not going to get them off of a sales page. Reality, do you know what I mean? To some degree. So I'm like, we still need testimonials, still add a discovery call, still do all those things. And they're like, oh, we were told that we should just build out the entire thing. And I was like, but if no one's buying from you, like how many blood, sweat, and tears you've put into this, months you put into it, and no one's bought from you. Don't you think, wouldn't you rather know that people are handing over the credit card? They're like, oh, I didn't know a Google Doc could do that. I'm like, yeah, again, it comes down to testing, everything is a test. So now, speaking of AI, do you know what I mean? Because AI is a hot topic over these last 12 months. What are your thoughts about people using AI to create their sales page copy? Good, bad? A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. Like, what are your thoughts? What are you seeing specifically around conversional copywriting for sales pages?
Okay, so having done this for 12 years, there have been AI tools around. For one that I used like 12 years ago was called Spin Rewriter. I don't know if it still exists, but I used to use it to spin blog posts for my clients when I used to write blog posts back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's not sophisticated. And even the newest versions of AI, there are certain things it speeds up. I'm not going to deny that. But I always tell my clients to test using AI and see if they can write faster than it. For me, having 12 years of experience of writing, still to this day, I write private copy for a select few clients. I can go faster than AI can because it just can't move. What I love it for is metaphors and brainstorming ideas. I think it's great for that. But trying to have it write an entire sales page, unless you've trained your AI, I will add that caveat. Some people are really good at training AI with prompts, and they have done a lot of market research already, and it can help with those types of things. But most, like the lay person trying to use AI, where they're like, just write my whole sales email for me or write my whole sales page. AI doesn't understand the sophistication of where does the button go? How does the call to action happen? What's the best performing call to action for an email based on your specific audience? It's never going to know those things. You're the one who has all the market research and data at your fingertips to be able to do those things, and you can't substitute those things, not yet, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited about it. I love the potential of it. I think it slows people down more than speeds things up in this particular moment.
And I would say, especially if you don't know how to utilize it, right? Like, I think there's a lot of misbelief. Well, I just put this in and it came out. Well, yeah, but do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that it's good, right? So there's and then so they're like, but I did it. Like, I went and did my social media post this week. How did that go for you? Did you get anyone over from Instagram? Did you get anyone commenting? No. Well, then maybe it's the algorithm, but maybe the AI is not doing what it needs. And I also remember one of my coaches told me that he used to outsource a lot of his copy and things like that over at the beginning stages, And he said over time, though, when he was able to buy back his time and had more free time, the best copy he did was when he writes his own copy, because there's this level of intimacy that is there that no tool will ever be able to replicate, So again, if you do have time, I always believe it's better to create 2 quality posts a week than 10 that do nothing. I think it can actually compromise your brand. And I think that's what I'm seeing more. Well, I don't think I know. I'm seeing more of, do you know what I mean, in the social media space. So, all right. Well, this has been awesome. And I'm so glad that the listeners have had the opportunity to connect and understand a little bit more about like the different types of copywriters, for example, what those 4 buyer types are, what people can be doing based on those 4 buyer types to have, above the fold before they start scrolling. So thank you so much for your awesomeness today. For those listeners wanting to connect with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I would love for people to come into my world. The best way to do that is to download. I have a gift for everyone that I wanted to share. It's called Triple Email Open Rates.
Yep.
So if you've ever ghosted your email list, it happens to the best of us. I've actually had moments where I had to disappear for a while. But if you use these triple email open rates templates, you can copy, paste, and personalize them. It's 3 emails that you send to your list. And you can reappear in your inbox. It will set you up for making an offer for the next time to your email list. And if you go to sagepolaris.com/Angela rocks, because she does, you can grab that. And for anybody who's had an email list for a while, or even if you're a service provider and you write for your client, you can still use these. It'll help you if you haven't ever scrubbed your list, removed unengaged subscribers. It'll set you up to do that as well. So it's kind of for both worlds of people.
Dude, I love that. And we'll make sure that we include that link again in our show notes over at angelahenderson.com.au. But yes, Angela rocks. I will take that one any time of day, my friend. And if you aren't in Sage's world, I encourage any guest that I have on the podcast. That's why I'm very selective about who comes on, and that, there's a lot of copywriters out there. There's a lot of coaches out there. But again, Sage is she's a reputable person. She knows what she's doing. But also, like I said, she's just a good human. And she's, has created a very beautiful community. So I do encourage you to connect with Sage.
Thank you, Angela.
You're very welcome. And for you amazing listener, I hope you have a beautiful day no matter where you are in the world. Don't forget to head to angelahenderson.com.au to check out the show notes so you can connect with Sage. But for now, have an amazing day. And I look forward to you joining me for another episode of the Angela Henderson Online Business Show. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Angela Henderson Online Business Show, www.angelahenderson.com.au.